after the game when we sit for a cup of tea or coffee, uh, I notice that all those friends of mine, good about 10 to 15, people who are the CEO of their companies and the top most positions owning, they are so humble, they are so well behaved. So the thought comes to my mind is very simple, that higher you go, the more your problems are simply behavioral, not technical or any other detail. Because by the time you reach on top, you know almost everything. There is a reason, I feel, why they devote so much of energy to identifying the interpersonal challenges in successful people. I feel it's because the higher one goes, the most of their problems are behavioral and nothing else. I feel at the higher levels of organizational life, all the leading players, they are certainly at the peak of their technical knowledge. They are absolutely aware what is happening. They are technically skilled. They are smart. They are all up to date, and they are aware of all aspects of their job, the company, the institution they are heading or leading. You will seldom find any institution or a company or organization, the chief financial officer or the chief accountant, without knowing how to count, how to read a balance sheet, and how to handle money prudently. They just know it. That is why the behavioral issues become so important at the upper rungs of the corporate ladder. I'm convinced. More suave, more calm, more collected, and more well behaved with full of etiquette and mannerism you are, more likely you are going to be successful and head your company with absolute synergy and efficiency. All other things being equal, your people's skill or the lack of them become more pronounced the higher you go. In fact, even when all other things are not equal, your people's skills often make the differences in how high you go. Who would rather have a chief financing officer, the chief accountant? I give example. In any institution, it's must. You have to have an account officer dealing with so much of exchange of money and correctly. A moderately good accountant, my friend, who is great with people outside the institution, firm or the factory, and skilled at managing very smart people, or a brilliant accountant who is inept with outsiders and alienates all the smart people under him. You take a call and decide whom do you prefer, whom do you like. It's self-explanatory. You get to answer yourself. It's not a tough choice. Really, the candidate with superb people skill will win out every time, I can assure you. In large part because he will be able to hire people smarter than he is about money, and he will be able to lead them. There is no guarantee that brilliant accountant can do that in the future. My friend, think about how we perceive other successful people. We rarely associate their success with technical skills or even brain power. Maybe we say they are smart, but that's not the sole factor we attribute to their success. We believe they are smart and something else. At some point, we gave them the benefit of the doubt on skill issues. For example, I take example that we assume our doctor knows medicine, so we judge him on bedside manners. Issues: how we tolerate our questions, how he delivers the bad news, even how he apologizes for keeping us cooling out heels too long in the waiting room. None of these is taught in any medical college or institutions. My friend, we apply these behavioral criteria to almost any successful person in any profession. We have to take a call on this. Your nice behavior is going to affect more actually sometimes at the top level than your technical qualification. We all have certain attributes that help us land our first job. These are the kind of achievements that go on our resume. But as we become more successful, those attributes recede into the background and more subtle attributes comes to a fore. We apply these behavioral criteria to almost any successful person, as I said, whether it is a CEO or a plumbing contractor or any housekeeping staff. My friend, I know a friend of mine. He's a chemical engineer in a tannery. He is working, and he learned this skill of chemicals in a foreign university. And he, but I doubt if any problems he encountered in his last 30 years at General Electric were anyway related to his skill at the chemical knowledge or formulating plastics. What he was vying for, the CEO's job, the issues holding him back were strictly behavioral. His brashness, his blunt language, his willingness to suffer fools. He did not pick up these issues at the university in the chemical engineering labs. The General Electric Board directors didn't worry about the ability to generate profits. They wanted to know if you could behave as a CEO. My friend, it's simple. When people ask me if the leaders I coach really change their behavioral behavior, my answer is simple and direct. As we advance in our career, the behavioral changes are often the only significant change we can make. जिंदगी भर के लिए दिल पे निशानी पड़ जाए, बात ऐसी न कहो कि कह के भुलानी पड़ जाए. और if suppose it's a written communication, तो जिंदगी भर के लिए दिल पे निशानी पड़ जाए, बात ऐसी न लिखो कि लिख के मिटानी पड़ जाए. My friend, if you reach the top rung of any institution or heading any organization, make sure that your behavior is above board and it's perfect. Thank you very much.